Yo, what is up, everybody? Happy Super Bowl Monday. This is Donald from the Pinstripe Chronicles. Wishing you all a happy Monday, and I hope you guys have a great week ahead. Y'all get your coffees ready. Let's get moving here. We're going to talk some Yanks, maybe talk a little bit of Super Bowl, whatever you guys want. We got Uncle T. He's going to be due to join us in the next minute or two. But in the meantime, I can say a big shout out to everyone in the chat. The chat is already absolutely bursting at the seams. So let's do a quick roll call. Y'all shout it out and say hello. We got JJ in. Hello, JJ. How are you? Got Jonathan. Got Stevie B. We got CWE. What is up, CBWE? We got Stephen B. Stephen B. What up? We got Joan. Salute, Joan. It was good to see you last night. We have Damian Serrano. Sup, Damian? Got John Sapola. What is up? We got FJ. Come and say hello, guys. Stevie B, did he do the moonwalk? Yeah, Usher did some kind of a moonwalk anyway. It was kind of like a poor, pale imitation of Michael Jackson's moonwalk. Damian Serrano, Mahomes at the end will be the GOAT. He is. I think he's already there. Balls of steel on that man. The situations that he came in that fourth quarter in overtime with zero margin for error, it was like Eli-esque, where the way that he just went down the field, just methodically went right down the field, made some incredible plays, a lot of with his legs in the air, just did everything just perfect down the fourth quarter in overtime. Incredible game. Like the first half was really sloppy. Second half, he's just the GOAT for me. CW says Brady's the GOAT. Well, absolutely can make that argument with the 7 Super Bowls, but I'll tell you what, Mahomes is fast approaching that, man. So we got Dev Finch. Salute, Dev. How are you? Donald, did you see what Kelsey did to the coach? How did he get away with that? Yeah, he went crazy. Totally unacceptable. But you have to still give a shout out to Kelsey for the way that he played in that fourth quarter, man. He made so many clutch catches. It was absolutely insane. So, got almost 30 people in the chat, which is awesome. We love that. So the title of this episode is Yankees Still Shopping for Pitching. So we got Jason from 161, said that Andy Martino says that the Yankees might look to make a trade in spring training for a pitcher. I still think we're short of pitching. I do think we need one more arm. So my question to you guys in the chat is, who do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be like a deal with the Marlins, for instance, where they could go after, Cabrera? There's a bunch of names that are really good that from the Marlins that would be really good. Maybe make a deal with Joan Segal says maybe Bieber. What about a deal with the White Sox? Where would you stand with that? So, but there's also still the free agency. Yeah, CWE, Cease. That's it. You can maybe deal with the White Sox and get Cease. I think Cease is probably the most realistic target. But the big caveat here is we're not going to make Spencer Jones available, and I love that. I'm not making Spencer Jones available. Isn't it prudent to wait for Corbin Burns? Well, we're trying to win a World Series this year, so the earliest you can get Corbin Burns is in 12 months' time. And there's no guarantees. Maybe he really likes what happens with Baltimore and then re-ups with them. So there's not – I don't know if that's that prudent, really. I think you want to make a deal, but a cost-effective deal. So who in the chat wants who, and what would you give up for him? So Stevie B says, I'd say Cabrera and Miller. White Sox need to come back to earth on trade proposal on Cease. They do need to come back to earth because Cease's numbers last year was not good. It wasn't great. I don't think he should be commanding Spencer Jones. I don't think that's realistic at all. I mean, they could speculatively ask, but no. I think you could. I think you should make a deal. I've said it a number of times. I'd make Everson Pereira available. Um, there's not a spot for him. If you're going to keep Jason Dominguez and you're going to keep Spencer Jones, there's not really room for Pereira. So I would make him available. I think he's the most likely one, and then we have some arms that we could deal. We could make Peraza available. Don't really want to do that. I love Peraza, but the Yankees don't love Peraza. JJ, Donald, does Jordan Montgomery hate the Yankees so much that he wouldn't even consider coming back? Yeah, this situation with Jordan Montgomery is well brought up, JJ. This situation with Jordan Montgomery is kind of crazy. It looks like he's sitting and waiting for the Rangers to solve the regional TV network problem that the Texas Rangers have right now, where they're basically waiting for that deal to go through before they have any money at all. I think it's a terrible look that the World Series champions for Major League Baseball has $0 to spend. It's kind of crazy to me. They're waiting on a TV deal to go through, and Montgomery's just sitting patiently waiting for that deal to go through. But he's kind of hurting himself in the process because pitchers and catchers is due to report in the next couple of days, and uh, he's going to be delaying working out right through spring training. We don't know when he's going to get signed. And does he hate the Yankees that much that he wouldn't consider coming back? I don't know if it's that or it's that Boris has made it unrealistic for the Yankees to approach what he's asking for. Boris is not looking for any discounts with Jordan Montgomery at all. And also, yeah, the Yankees did hurt their relationship with him for sure because they misused him. So I think the Yankees are going to weigh up. Is it worth paying upwards 25, 30 for per year for a Jordan Montgomery or a Blake Snell? Or do they, and instead they go and make it more of a cost-effective deal for a controllable guy like a Dylan Cease, where it doesn't cost nearly as much in terms of money, cost your prospects, but the money will be easier to swallow, and it might work better with the whole tax situation because we have to think about the fact that say if the Yankees pay $30 million per year for Blake Snell for this year, it'll be worth more like 55, 60 million with the way that the luxury tax works out. So, do you think the Yankees are going to do that? I don't know if it's financially feasible. So it makes more sense to make a trade. So yeah. Jones says, Cease over 4 ERA, not a number 2 pitcher. Tats here is due to come back, but he's having some issues here. Having a new stove installed, and they showed up right before showtime. There you go. Isn't that always the way, guys? It sounds like typical Monday morning stuff here. But we can still make a good show out of this. So continue to hit us with the comments, guys. Hit us with your questions, and we'll go through it methodically and see what we can come up with here. Let's see if we can work out a good deal for the New York Yankees to get themselves a pitcher. So let's have a look and see what Dylan Cease is all about, and what we could work out, and what you would say is a fair deal for the guy. So Dylan Cease, let's have a look and see. So yeah, last year wasn't great for him, but let's not forget that we do have a little secret weapon here. And his name is Matt Blake. But yeah, last year was not good. 7-9, 4.58 ERA. But 214 strikeouts on 177 innings pitched is good. Like there's upside there for sure. Like he's got strikeout stuff. So yeah, 2023 wasn't great. But 214 strikeouts to just 79 walks. That's good. That's good, in my opinion. No problems there. The 19 home runs given up, though, that's a problem. That's not going to work at all. 172 hits given up on 177 innings. Okay, so 2023 wasn't great, but 2022 is phenomenal, guys, right? And this is what the Yankees are banking on if they are to go for a Dylan Cease. 2022, he's 14-8 with a 2.20 ERA. Uh, had one complete game, shutout, um, and just 45 runs given up as opposed to 90 last year. So like half, literally half. Um, and same number of walks, 78 walks, which is good. Um, even more strikeouts in 2022, 227 strikeouts to 78 walks. So that's excellent. And batting average against was just 190. It was 250 in 2023. So I don't know whether 2022 is an outlier because if you go the season before 2021, ERA of 391, which is still good. In the American League, that's still good. But it's obviously not 220. But yeah, numbers in 2021, 13-7, it's good. 391, it's okay. 72 runs, not bad as opposed to the 90. With 2023 is bad, like straight up bad. But batting average against 223, it's fine. 68 walks, that's excellent, and 226 strikeouts. So what I'm seeing here is he's got a lot of command, and he's got excellent strikeout stuff, power stuff right there that you can really work with. Kind of home run happy a little bit, which is obviously an issue. 2021, he gave up 20 home runs, which is not going to work. 22, he gave up just 16. That's fine. 19 in 2023, that's a little bit high. So the key here with Dylan Cease is you need to make sure you get those home runs down. Now, can you do that in a stadium, let's say, that is very kind for a home run hitter? So does that work? Well, it means that Matt Blake's going to have to work with him. Exactly, Joan, especially in our stadium. The key here is to get his pitches down and keep his pitches in the ballpark. If you keep his pitches in the ballpark, he's got that strikeout stuff where he can just flat out dominate. I like his numbers, man. Like if you're averaging like over 200 strikeouts and just 70 plus walks in a season, that's good. You can work with that. It's just getting those home runs, keeping them in the park. Can Matt Blake turn Dylan Cease into a Cy Young caliber pitcher? Well, I mean, it's not necessarily turn into because he already proved it in 2022. That was only only like 2 years ago. Last year, bad, but the year before was good. So maybe I think he's due to have an improving year. And let's also not forget the aspect, the elephant in the room here is the White Sox suck. It can't be easy for a pitcher knowing that you have to basically pitch no hit stuff in order to get anywhere with a terrible team like the White Sox. So you bear that in mind as well. So I'm not too worried about the wins and losses. That doesn't really matter. Again, the White Sox suck. So the 7-9 record doesn't really matter. 4.58 ERA. It is above league average. So that's not what you're looking for. But his career ERA is 3.80, and that's fine. You can work with that. And career number of 792 strikeouts, which is pretty damn good in about 4 seasons, four and a half seasons. 792 strikeouts in 4.5 seasons, good, really good. I can work with that. So 2 shutouts in his career, 2 complete games in his career. Yeah, this dude hardly screams bust. It's just a matter of keeping his pitches in the ballpark. You keep his pitches in the ballpark, and you've got yourself a player here. Li is getting right stuck in here. He's getting really excited about possible trades that could work. It's really complicated, a little bit complicated, really, dude. Right. Let's see here. What's Stevie B saying? I also think Cease is AJ Burnett number 2. Well, AJ Burnett was great. Remember how good AJ Burnett was in 2009? He was fantastic, but then it kind of fell apart after that. Taylor Swift is now indeed a Kansas City Swift. Yeah, I was rooting for the Swifts last year. My brother Rob here. Where are you, Rob? What's happening? I think he's got some again similar stats. These workers coming in on first thing on a Monday morning. I think it's the same thing happening. We're all down there in Florida. 372 at 4.7 x ERA for season 2023. He was a bit unlucky last year. Also, he was a near 4 FWAR player again. Yeah, like you could use the argument that A, the White Sox suck, right? That does play a part in it. And B, yeah, I think he did run in a little bit of luck. I think there's some upside there. And they'll probably be betting on the same situation as what happened with Clay Holmes with the Pirates, because his numbers were terrible. But there was a little bit of bad luck there. And I think the whole point was to keep his pitches in the ballpark, and you got yourself a very effective pitcher, and that's kind of what's happened. Even though he's not the most reliable, he still massively improved once he went to the Yankees. So maybe the same thing could happen with Cease. Too much noise outside my apartment right now. Got NFE. Yo, what is up, NFE? How are you, my guy? How are you? We got Sunil. I think the M stake, right? Would you trade Jones if that meant getting a raise? Good question. At the moment, I'm a no on moving Spencer Jones. As I laid out in the previous podcast, you're talking about a 22-year-old guy who's just at the start of his career. He was only drafted 2 years ago. 43 stolen bases, 16 home runs. He's rated as a can't miss prospect around baseball. Incredible speed and power upside that he could easily be a 30-30, 40-40 guy. You could be looking at an Alfonso Soriano, top of my head, speed, power, that kind of guy. Range, but be like Soriano, but with defense, because Soriano couldn't play any defense. So you got Spencer Jones that could possibly be. Y'all think Jones could be a superstar? He could be. I'm not saying it's definitely guaranteed to be that, because you don't know. It's only been 2 years. But the thing is, like, there's no downside for me. The fact that he's only just in Double-A now. I don't want to make any trades. I don't want to trade Spencer Jones for a couple years. At least I want to see what we have in him, and then we can work out what his ceiling is. We don't know what his ceiling is yet. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that he is going to be a superstar. I can't guarantee you that. But a lot of people that have much better knowledge than any of us love the guy and love his potential, and I can't argue with that. LI says Spencer Jones is center fielder of the future. Yeah, I think it probably works out better that way. Dominguez, I don't know if he's got the body type to be a center fielder, but he played pretty damn good center field, Dominguez, last year. So, Dominguez is our future, and I think Spencer Jones is too. Spencer Jones could be that Bellinger type where he could play first base at a pinch too. I don't want to give up that yet. There's another aspect to it as well when you weigh up whether you want to trade a guy like Spencer Jones for a pitcher. Pitchers are very volatile, man. Unless they got rubber arms, anything can happen. One flick of a wrist and you could be out for a season. Your career could be tainted. That could forever harm your career. One flick of a wrist that could do some damage to your arm, and then that's it. Whereas Spencer Jones, you got him for the next 10 to 12 years minimum. So that's why I think that Spencer Jones is more valuable right now. Let's give it a chance here. Let's give it a chance. I'm not making any guarantees. In a couple of years, we'll have a better idea what his ceiling is, and then you can work out what a realistic trade value is for him if you want to trade him at all. Albert, if the Yankees were not willing to trade Spencer Jones for Burns, then Jones will not be traded for Cease or Reyes. Yeah, I mean, absolutely doesn't make any sense at all. Absolutely not. Burns was the guy I would consider if we had Burns if Burns was under control for about 2 years, I would have made that trade. But on a rental, absolutely not. You just don't do that. I think that's just bad business. Dominguez, Jones, and Judge in the outfield. Think about it. How scary is that to the opposite pitcher? Fact. To be honest, our team as it stands is pretty scary, and I'm pretty excited about it. Remember, we wouldn't trade Frazier for Cole. How did that work? Well, it wasn't just Clint Frazier. There was a bunch of other names that make it even more laughable, like Chance Adams and Florial or whatever. It was just it made no sense. But what didn't make sense was not the fact that they kept a hold of Clint Frazier necessarily. It's the fact they treated him like a yo-yo, bro. Dude, it was the most infuriating thing. So you're selling that Clint Frazier has quote unquote legendary bat speed, right? And his legendary bat speed, the Yankees didn't trust any more than just like one game. Like they had him for like one game, and then he'd send him down to AAA, and he was part of that Scranton shuttle bus where he was up and he was down, up and down like a yo-yo. You can't develop people that way. And then Frazier then had the concussion, and then after the concussion, he fell apart. He didn't know how to play defense, and then he looked like an absolute tool. And I think behind the scenes he was a bit of a toolbox too. I don't think he was someone that had a personality that fit with the way the Yankees are, like a highbrow organization. Um, and then you can compare the fact that he had vertigo, which is a medical condition, absolutely. But before he had vertigo and before he had those problems, he was really looking like he could be something, man. Like he started off good. He did start off good, and I was quite excited about him. But the Yankees just never gave him a chance. Treated him like a yo-yo, upset his confidence, and tanked his value. They did the same thing with Andujar. When Andujar was a runner-up for Rookie of the Year, but he couldn't really play defense. They didn't really have a position for him. They could have sold high on him, but they didn't. They yo-yoed him again. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Tried to fit a square peg in a round hole. Tried him out at third. Tried him out at first. Tanked his value. Tanked his confidence, and then yo-yoed him all the way to a DFA. So the Yankees have done that in the past. It's not necessarily that they keep their prospects; it's how they use them. And they did the same. They're doing the same thing with Peraza. They've not shown any faith in Peraza. Peraza's got better defense than Volpe, guys. Trust me. And they've treated him like a yo-yo. They've never really liked him, and he's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And I don't know how you develop prospects that way. And I'm hoping that this is one of the things that our organization has learned from going into next year. I want Cashman to learn how to use these prospects. You stick with the ones that you trust and you give them a chance. And the ones that you don't think you can build around, you move them. Fine, absolutely move them. So if Peraza ain't part of your future and you don't trust him for whatever dumb reason, you sell high on him, and then you go and get your pitcher that you need. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the way that they've treated Peraza, and I would make Peraza a big part of what we're doing. But for whatever reason, they don't like the guy that much. When Peraza got regular playing time, he was showing us he could play big time. 100%, 1,000%. Stevie B gets a star for that. That's what I'm saying. People made too much of a big deal out of his batting average and his lack of power. Dude, do you know how difficult it is to know that if you don't go 4 for 4, you're going to get sent down? That was basically what was happening with the guy. You go 4 for 4, he's getting sent down. So it's just really infuriating the way they treated him, man. And yeah, it's not how you develop a prospect. Peraza should be a third baseman. I agree. I think that as much as I love DJ LeMahieu and like LI, I think he probably should be the rover. And I would give Peraza the chance. But the Yankees don't see it that way. Another thing I would consider doing is make Peraza the second baseman and trade Torres. Because we're not extending Torres next year. So what's the point in keeping him? I don't get it. Again, I think the Yankees could sell high on these guys. I would rather get a quality arm in there than keep a Gleyber Torres. As much as I like Gleyber Torres, I don't think that we massively need him right now. We're kind of stacked offensively. LeMahieu should not be the third baseman. Should be president. Yeah, you said that. So LeMahieu serves no purpose in the Yankees anymore. Not necessarily. I think I think he does serve a purpose, but not as an everyday player. Jonathan, I agree with trading Torres. Yeah. Could Gleyber Torres be the bait for Dylan Cease? I would love that. I just don't know what the organization, like what the other organization wants, like the White Sox. We don't know how much salary they want to take on. Do they want to take on an expiring? Like these are the things that we have to bear in mind. Stevie B, I also say this again. Peraza should be starting anywhere besides us 2 years ago. Well, yeah, he would be starting. We should be calling to trade for him if he was on another team. I agree with that, man. I agree. Let's look back to when we called him up. We called him up without a plan. This is the first time we called him up. We called him up without a plan. And then remember Boone was asked, right, what's your plan for Peraza? It's fluid. It's fluid. What does that mean? It's fluid. That's a terrible way to treat a prospect. Your top prospect at the time was him. And they were like, it's fluid. We'll see. IKF is still our starting shortstop. And IKF completely tanked the rest of that season. He was terrible. Couldn't play shortstop. IKF was so bad at shortstop that he got benched in the playoffs. And then not just that, the Yankees then ran it back with him right through spring training until the point where he again struggled in spring training and told Boone, I know I can't really play shortstop. Move me to the outfield. I'll be better. And then the Yankees had to pivot and make IKF an outfielder. So that's what I'm talking about, man. When the organization tells you one thing, but clearly it's a lie. They were telling us that IKF is the best shortstop in baseball and all this crap, where he clearly couldn't play the position, to the point where IKF actually basically had to tell Boone, no, bro, I know I can't do this. Move me to the outfield. I can't play shortstop. He was a third baseman, asked to play shortstop, that had to move to the outfield because he couldn't do it, right? But they still had no plan for Peraza. I think it's a terrible use of prospects. I know I'm sounding like I'm being overly critical. I'm just being honest. That's not how you develop prospects. I'm hoping that the Yankees have learned from it. Am I completely 100% sure that they have? I don't know. Volpe won a Gold Glove. I'm kind of shocked that he did. Like, the analytics told him that he was a Gold Glover, but I don't know. The eye test didn't really convince me that he's any better than Peraza. But I like Volpe. Volpe's got a big future here. His defense ain't the problem. He's good defensively. It's just the thing with him is he needs to be more consistent offensively. Peraza also needed glasses last spring. The competition was rigged from the start. Yeah, I mean, the plan was always Volpe. I think, for sure. But if that's the case, then sell high on Peraza. Just don't tank his value, man. Don't have him sitting as a utility guy. Don't have him just sitting as a utility guy, getting the at-bats once a week. It's not going to help his development. It's just not. Have a plan for him. If you don't have a plan for him, trade him. And we got my brother Rob here. How you doing, brother Rob? Salute.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad. I'm sorry for being so late, but the noise has finally subsided around here, so I can get into the chat.
Awesome. Let's go. So we're just kind of shooting the shit here, talking a little bit Peraza, talking a little bit prospects. If we like Volpe that much, why not lock him up for a long time? Well, I mean, it's still early. It's only been 1 year. Let's give it. We've got him under control for a long time. So let's give it a couple of years. There's no need to rush that. But it's certainly smart. If he is what we hope he is going to be, then certainly in a couple of years you want to extend him to a team friendly contract. Good morning, FL. What is up? We got Rob's dad. Salute. And we got Sunil. Look who it is. 1,276-year-old Rob. And we got Uncle Tad's Uncle
Hey, we're all here.
We got the band back together. What is up? The Blues Brothers are in town.
Donald, huge shout out to you for holding down the fort while things just got a little crazy for Rob and I. Rob, we knew was having some stuff done. Mine was very unexpected. I got a phone call this morning. Hey, I'm coming over to put the stove in. Okay. So, but yeah, it's been a great discussion. I appreciate everybody in the chat for
really active chat.
The chat's been on fire. I got to throw my 2 cents in with this whole Peraza thing. Peraza was ruined. You were saying how the last statement was that Volpe was the plan. It's the story. The storyline took over the ability, I think. And it's not to say that he has no ability, but it's the Jersey kid. It's the homegrown, hometown talent. So I think Volpe did have the edge. But like I said, he won spring training. He really did. We were all saying that they had to get this kid involved. So we can't double back now because we see how the Yankees are treating Peraza. We can't just say, well, because the Yankees are ruining Peraza, they should have ruined Volpe instead, because one of them was getting ruined. So we got to pick our poison here when it comes to those 2 players, especially after the statement that was made that they're the future of the infield. There was only room for one of them. So I think that's where you have to really put your favorite, like CWE says, Yankees playing favoritism. Well, we have to curb our favoritism as well. And one or the other was gonna get fucked up. So it was either gonna be Volpe or Peraza. That's the way I'm looking at it. It was pick your poison.
I want the Yankees to have a long-term vision. I want them to really strategize here. I want them to think a couple of moves ahead. And I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying that I hope that that's what they're doing. Say, for instance, I don't want them just to run into this Gleyber Torres thing saying, keep telling us he's the best second baseman in the American League, which he's certainly one of the best power second basemen in the American League. Don't argue that. But if you don't have a plan to re-sign him, what's the upside here of just letting him play out his contract? I mean, maybe you get an upgrade in performance. Maybe he'll just ball out because it's his contract year. But then the Yankees are in the tough spot. Do they extend him? Is it worth extending him? And then you got those questions. And then, is he the type of guy where if he gets the bag, is he going to change his mentality? Because for me, his mentality is a little bit up and down. Like, he's a little lazy. He does. He's so good and he's so talented that he's a little nonchalant about it. Like, he doesn't strike you as a guy that if he got the bag, he would just be like, I'm going to win no matter what. I'm just dying to win. He's just not that type of player. I've never gotten that vibe from him. And it's not a disrespect to him. I'm just saying there's some players that are so talented, that his talent is oozing out of their pores, that they have more of a nonchalant approach. And he's done that. He lazy running to first base, lazy playing second base. And he's not really taken off. And do you want someone that mentally falls apart by moving positions? Again, the Yankees' fault for doing that, but Torres probably didn't need to mentally fall apart like that. He mentally fell apart when he was in the trade talks as well. Remember when he completely tanked the second half of the year when he found out he was involved in the trade talks with the Marlins. So this is someone with his mentality I'm not 100% sure you could trust to give the bag of $100 million to. Not a disrespect to him, though, because he is an excellent player. Excellent player, excellent talent, phenomenal talent. If you're looking at the talent level, he's probably like the third most talented player in the entire roster behind Cole and Soto. That's Judge and Soto. He's right there, but his confidence and his mentality kind of is a little bit up and down for me. Yeah. Do you want to give the bag to that? No, for me, not for me. So then what's the upside? I think you would trade that. I think you should trade that. You should get prospects in return. Frees up some money, because remember, money is the problem right now, because that's why we're not going after Blake Snell. And maybe frees up that money in order to put together a trade package to get Cease. Maybe the people we get in return for a Gleyber Torres could be used and deal for a Dylan Cease if you want to protect your top prospects. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, think a couple steps ahead. And I don't think it would be a massive drop off from, say, DJ LeMahieu playing second base or Peraza playing second base than Gleyber Torres. Well, defensively, they'd be better than Gleyber Torres. That's just a fact. And then offensively, I don't think it'd be a massive difference. So, you have to weigh up the war. But I'm going to bring Rob in here because Rob does really like Gleyber Torres. And what do you think that I'm onto something, or would you do something different? What would you do?
I think the time to trade him has passed already. They should have done it last year. As much as I like him, they should have traded him last year. So, Li, you bring up Kyle Freeland one more time, I'm just gonna boot you. Enough. Stop. But they passed up on Gleyber's trade 2 years in a row. They should have traded him last year, and now you don't know what Peraza is. I mean, you would like to see what he can be in a full season, but you don't know if he can give you the offense that Gleyber would, and you don't know if DJ can give you the offense that Gleyber would, because DJ's been injury prone the last few years. So I still don't agree with DJ being the starter. I think it should be Peraza, but that's why I want to keep Torres, because in case Peraza does struggle and they have to go back to DJ being the full-time guy, Gleyber's been the most consistent bat in our lineup the last 2 years. Because Judge obviously missed a lot of time last year. So the last 2 seasons, Gleyber's been our best player. You kind of need to keep that for now, and just, you're not going to keep him next year. You'll take the comp pick back. Maybe you do extend him.
2 years ago, Judge hit 60-plus home runs, man.
I'm saying the last 2 years in general.
Yeah.
I think, 1 year for sure. Like 12 months for sure.
I'm saying because Torres has played almost every single game the last 2 seasons where Judge, I'm not taking it away from Judge. It wasn't his fault, but I'm saying you look at consistency, he was out there more than Judge was. That's just all I'm saying. I'm not saying he was better than Judge. Okay. I'm saying he was the most consistent guy in the lineup because he was hitting and he was playing. You can't, sometimes the best ability is availability, and Torres did have that the last 2 seasons. So I'm not, again, I Judge is in another stratosphere in terms of player. I'm just saying consistently Torres was out there, and you don't want to get rid of that.
I think my point about Torres' mentality, doesn't he just, do you think that he would be better with the bag, or do you think he's going to continue to do these mental lapses? Because that's the problem. It costs the team. His lapses.
I don't think they're going to pay him. I don't think they're going to pay him. That's why they're going to let him play out the season, take what he gives you, and then you'll get the comp pick back. Because, I mean, at this point, if you're going to trade him, what are you going to get for him? We saw the Padres had to lower their asking price to get for Juan Soto. Gleyber Torres is nowhere close to the player Juan Soto is. So what do we think we're really realistically going to get for Gleyber Torres? You get
you get more than the other counter argument is you would get more than, say, what we traded for Joey Gallo, but we actually got a really good arm for Joey Gallo. And Joey Gallo had much worse value than Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres could still command you some prospects that you could use for a solid number 3 starter.
Gallo had 1.5 years of control. He was an all-star. He had really good numbers when we traded for him. He was on his way to a really good season, where Gleyber was not an all-star last year. He was a solid player, and he's also a rental at this point. Gallo was making less, and he was under control for another year. Had Torres had another year of control, teams would give you a lot for him. But it's the rental thing. Look at what we gave up. Look what we gave up for Juan Soto. It was Thorpe, a couple of depth pieces, and Michael King, who gave you 6 starts. And the potential's there for King. And then Higgy, whatever. What do you think you're going to get for Torres? A few prospects? Maybe. You'll get something for Torres, maybe a major league ready guy.
But that could still be used for a Dylan
No,
Cease.
he was not a rental. Gallo was not a rental. He was not.
But you could still use him for a Dylan Cease.
Yeah, you could. You can get those pieces. I understand what you're saying. If you get some pieces back that the White Sox would like, maybe it is a 3-team trade. LI would love that. I get if it was a 3-team trade, because that's all he ever proposes.
That's his wheelhouse.
Yeah, 3, 4-team, 5-team trades, but that might be the way to get it done. But I don't know if they want to lose that offense, because our biggest issue was offense. And I know we got Soto and Verdugo, but if you put them in there and then you take Torres out, your lineup that was looking so deep kind of takes a hit a little bit, because you don't know if LeMahieu's going to stay healthy, and you don't know if Peraza, if they trust him to play every day. Had they given him that shot every day last year, I'd be like, go for it, do it. But now I just don't see it.
Yeah. You can think about it another way. Let's look at how the Brewers have approached the Corbin Burns trade. So they traded away Corbin Burns, and they freed up $15 $4.5 million, right? They took back DL Hall, who they view as like a 2 or 3 starter, second or third starter. They acquired a shortstop who was blocked by the plethora of infielders that Baltimore have. So, and then they used that money for Gary Sanchez and another guy. Adding up, I guess their analytics guys are saying, that equates to the similar kind of war as losing Corbin Burns. So the Yankees could do the same thing with a Gleyber Torres situation where they trade away Gleyber Torres, free up the salary because it's still a pretty high salary he's getting, and then you could use that plus the prospects you're getting. If you can get a ready-made prospect in return, major league prospect in return, maybe the war works out similarly. And I don't think offensively. Again, remember also bearing in mind the offense that we've gained with Juan Soto and Verdugo and Grisham, and we're going to get with Dominguez. I think that there's room to trade a Gleyber Torres, and I think would be okay.
I just don't want to risk that lineup because right now it's so deep. Like 1 through 9, you really can't find a weak point, and that's even with Volpe coming off of a rough season. So I don't want to hurt the offense right now because it looks so good, and we might need that because I'm not too sure about the 4-5 in the rotation. I think the potential's there for Schmidt and Cortez to have good years, but if some of those guys get roughed up, we need the offense that we did not have last year. And Gleyber batting in the 5th spot, 6th spot could be an absolute blessing in disguise. He could go on a tear and command a lot of money next year that we get the comp pick back, or some team comes calling at the deadline and say, hey, we'll take him off your hands, and that frees up a spot for Peraza, or unless they trade him. I don't think it's needed right now to trade him to get a Dylan Cease. I think the White Sox should definitely come off of their asking price for Dylan Cease. It should not take Spencer Jones, but it should take a pretty decent package because you're getting 2 years of control at a very, very good price. Because the price it would cost you for 2 years of Cease would cost you 1 year for 1 year of Montgomery, and I'm taking Cease every day of the week.
Okay, Rob. So you're Brian Cashman, and you're on the phone to Dylan Cease. What are you offering the White Sox?
And you have to come off of Spencer Jones, so you got to probably give them a little more in quantity.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give them Pereira at that point because they want an outfielder.
Yeah.
You might. I mean, I don't think Peraza is going to move the needle too much, but you might have to throw him in there. At this point, he's a throw-in, which is another issue. But they're going to look at one of our Warren or Hampton is going to have to go in that trade, in my opinion. I know this is not going to be popular, but I would give up Chase Hampton if it meant we get Dylan Cease, because I think we have so many pitchers in our system that are coming up in the next year or two that are going to be like him. Like Selvage is a guy that we cannot forget about. Brendan Beck's a guy that when healthy has fantastic stuff. I love Chase Hampton, but for every pitcher, it's always a question mark. What are they going to be? Everything is, I don't care what you say, LI, because your trades are terrible too. So everything with the pitcher is a question mark. So, and look at all the pitchers we've given up since 2017. Not a single one of them has really amassed to anything when we've dealt them. I don't think Chase Hampton falls in that category, but Dylan Cease has been a good pitcher. For the last 3 seasons that he's been a full-time starter, he's been very good. Last year, I think he was very unlucky. But if it's Pereira, Hampton, and maybe another piece, maybe you get to keep Peraza because his value is down. Maybe you look at some of our other 18 infielders. I know Arias is not going anywhere, so don't worry. He's not in this trade. I mean, you got to look elsewhere. We have plenty of infielders. So,
Rob,
sometimes you can't.
Rob, could you bring up Cease's Stat Geek numbers? If you could get that page up, and while you do that, and share it with us, and while you do that, let's get Uncle Tats in here involved. And what are your thoughts on what we're talking about? What would you what kind of package would you give up for Dylan Cease?
For Dylan Cease, I mean, I'm with Rob. I think it's going to have to be quality, quantity over quality. So it's going to,
Oh, no,
if you're not putting, if you're not, obviously
Yeah,
Jones is not an option.
Yeah.
Warren is not an option. It's going to have to be a Pereira. Maybe you entice him with a Peraza, which I'm not, I wouldn't be thrilled about. I'd rather get something with more, I'd rather have more control for a guy, for somebody like Peraza. Maybe a beater, to hold on to Hampton. Because I think Hampton is showing a little bit of being closer to the major league level.
Okay. So you would maybe give up what? Beater,
Pereira.
Warren.
No, not Warren. I'm keeping Warren. That's why I'm giving him Beater.
Okay.
Warren, I want to hold on to. Warren and Hampton and Jones, I'm not involving in trades.
Okay. What about Chase Hampton? LI says Chase Hampton. Would you?
I said I wouldn't trade Hampton.
Okay.
You wouldn't, or you
Hampton,
would?
Warren, and Jones are off my list.
White Sox hang up the phone there, I think.
Well, then too bad. Then I just roll it with Cortez.
Okay.
I can't get the page to load. Baseball Savant's one of like the worst pages for me.
Let's see if I can do Baseball Savant page. Let's go.
But a lot of people are going to look at his stats last year and tell you.
I got it.
That
it's
but look, Cease was on a team that he was highly frustrated with. That when he was first, when last trade, his past trade deadline, I said, look, I would go after Cease. I think fresh scenery. We've seen it so many times. Fresh scenery, a fresh voice from the pitching department, sometimes revitalizes these guys' careers. I would take that.
I'm sharing it now. I'm sharing it now.
I would take that gamble on.
I'm sharing the Savant page now. If you could get out. Okay.
You're up.
Okay, cool. So, what we're seeing here, the fastball velo is right there. That's decent. Solid 77th percentile. So that's in the range of about 95.6 miles an hour. Average exit velo, 23 percentile. That's not great. Chase percentage, 41. Chime in, Rob. What do you think about this? The Savant page here. What kind of stuff do you think is what we can work with here for upside?
I think you go back and look at his 2022 numbers, and you're going to see a much different player. And I really do agree that a change of scenery is going to do him good, because look what happened with Middleton. Right? Yep. We got Middleton, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And he turned him into a weapon that everyone was like, "How could you let him leave? How could you let Middleton leave in free agency?" So I trust Matt Blake would get Dylan Cease closer to some of the whatever middle ground you can find between his 2021 and 2022 season. If you get that from Dylan Cease, you sign up for that, because I'm telling you right now, if Chase Hampton's first 3 years are anything like Dylan Cease's first 3 years, you're going to sign up for that every day of the week. And you can't tell me you wouldn't, because that's a good pitcher. And I hope that Chase Hampton becomes that guy for us. But in terms of when you talk about all in, everyone says the Yankees have to be all in. We can't start being picky and choosy about every prospect. You want to keep Jones off the table? Fine. The Yankees better have a plan for that kid. When he gets here, he better stay here. Give him the Volpe treatment, the same thing you were going to do with Dominguez, because he wasn't going to stop playing before he got hurt. You do that with Spencer Jones whenever he gets here. Whatever position he's at, he stays there. He plays every day. Have your plan for Jones. That's fine. But the Yankees have shown a willingness in the past to move pitchers, even highly touted pitchers, and they haven't seemed to regret it just yet. So if it takes a Chase Hampton to get a Dylan Cease, you probably have to bite that bullet, especially if you get to keep Jones. But I understand why people would be reluctant to hold on to him. But I think, again, he was very unlucky last year. That White Sox team stunk. They were so bad. They were so dysfunctional. And it was a mess. So I believe he comes here. You get Matt Blake working with him. Does it show what kind of pitches he throws out there? Because if a sinker's on that list.
I've got it here. Yeah. So look, four-seam fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. What I'm interested in is the hard hit percentage here. So four seam fastball hard hit percentage is about 40%. Slider 43%, but changeup's nice, 16%. That's good. The hard hit percentage is 16%. That's good. Slider 22% hard hit percentage. So yeah, it does show us what his pitches are. It also shows you what his the whole thing here. We got the whole thing. This is like a freaking smorgasbord here of stats that we can really dig into if you love that kind of stuff. We got his the main pitches here: four seam fastball, slider, knuckle curve, and changeup. He really heavily relies on a four seamer. With a slider, he mixes in 38% of the time. Knuckle curve 15%, changeup 3%. And it's got a put away percentage. So he relies a lot on a slider to put guys away. A lot of the time, 23% of the time. Better in 2022. His slider was cooking in 2022, 27.8 put away percentage. And it also tells you his StatCast numbers last year. So, Rob, you're saying 2022 was that was his best year. Look at his xERA, 270, top 10% of the league. That's absolutely phenomenal. Hard hit percentage, top 7% of the league. 7% of the league. So, 2022, he was just basically one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Like all these Reds. XBA, top 4% of the league, just 184 XBA against. That's wild good. So 2022 was his year. And we can get an idea here of what his best aspect of his game is. His K percentage is excellent. Whiff percentage is excellent. Fastball velo is excellent. Barrel percentage is excellent. So this is a guy that's a power guy. I think you can work with that. I think you can definitely work with that. Off-speed run value is really good too. So this is someone that you can use his off-speed stuff and get people out.
You don't have 200 plus strikeouts 3 straight years and not be a good pitcher. Like the stuff is there to be really, really good. And I think if you put him behind Cole or in front of Rodon or behind Rodon, we're talking about taking pressure off of people. The pressure is not really, he doesn't have to be 2022 Dylan Cease. He doesn't have to be. You have Garrett Cole for a reason. Rodon is getting paid double what Cease is going to be making. It still falls on Rodon to have a good year, but my point is everyone's talking about the Yankees haven't done enough or this is all in, and we're getting picky and choosy about who we're giving up. If you want to have a couple of untouchables, fine. Even Dane, Dane's the prospect guy. We all know. Everyone looks at Dane when he talks about prospects. He himself on our show said he's got 2 untouchables. That's Lalani and Arias. Everyone else he'd put on the table in a trade. So I'm going to listen to Dane's input. I'm going to listen to a lot of guys from NYY. I was on a pre-recorded show today that's going to be airing at 4:00. We talked about a lot of these prospects on NYY on the Yankee Farm Channel, and everyone's high on these guys, but sometimes you got to trade these pieces away if you're not going to use all of them. And if you get Cease, that still opens up the window for Will Warren to make an impact this year. So if you have a rotation of Cole, Rodon, Cease, Stroman, Cortez, Clark Schmidt becomes your 6 starter, Weaver becomes your 7 starter, all of a sudden there's more depth than before because Chase Hampton is unknown. Will Warren's an unknown. But Will Warren's probably more ready at this point. And Clayton Beater is nowhere close to the player that Hampton is. So that's why it would take a Chase Hampton. If you're not going to get Spencer Jones, if you're the White Sox, if you're not going to get Spencer Jones, you're going to be asking for one of those top pitchers. So this trade, 2 years of Cease, is going to hurt. It's going to cost you a good amount of players, especially if Jones is off the table. Then guess what? More becomes available. I'm not saying run to the table. I hate Chase Hampton. I like Chase Hampton. I'm a prospect guy. But I also believe that this is the Yankees' chance to really go and make something happen. Dylan Cease increases our World Series chances this year and next year more than Chase Hampton would be. And I think Hampton's going to be good. But again, everything is a projection. Everything is just a maybe with Chase Hampton, where with Dylan Cease, you've gotten a proven major league arm that I'm not going to throw out the window because of one rough season. So I see both sides. I said the same thing the other day about Spencer Jones. I understand why people don't want to give up prospects, but you can't say we got to be all in and then be like, no, don't trade this guy. No, you can't trade this guy. No, don't get him, because it's.
Do we want to win now or not?
Yeah. NFE, you say Cabrera, I'm right there with you too. If you can go get Cabrera, then you're not going to trade any of those guys, basically, and that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I do want another starter, and if Dylan Cease is available still and on the table, and you get to keep Spencer Jones, then I think you got to bite the bullet there. We have so many pitching prospects that are coming up in the next couple of years that people aren't even hearing about yet, that you're going to be hearing about in another year or so, that Chase Hampton might be an afterthought, the same way that no one anymore is talking about Waldachuk and Wesneski. Remember, they were untouchable. Oh, you can't move them. Look at them now.
Was another one that was untouchable.
Caprillion, Clarkin, Sheffield, Dylan Tate. Listen to Glenn Otto at one point was one of our better pitching prospects, and he's an afterthought, unless you're LI who keeps trying to get him back. So there's so many arms out there that we've given away that people are forgetting about. And we've all said, oh, this guy's going to be good. This guy's going to be good. Maybe you have to bite the bullet sometimes. Chance Adams, another one. Yes, sometimes you have to bite the bullet and make that deal that makes you better now and next year. But I'm saying I'm not trading Lalane. I'm not trading Lalane or Arias. Li, stop putting words in my mouth, because I swear to God, you're pushing me to a limit, Li, that I'm going to block you from this goddamn channel. You're really pissing me off lately.
Come on, calm down. Right, okay. Yankees still interested in trading for Dylan Cease. Let's see what their possible package is. Yeah, CBS Sports says.
While you're scrolling through that, Donald, I'll make this statement. If we hold on to all these prospects and let the kids play, and they miss the postseason, say they let the kids play this year, and they just let it roll with Warren, Hampton, and they just fill those spots with those guys, right? Peraza, right? Say they're able to move on. They just eat Stanton's contract and move on, right? Or they're able to get something for Torres, right? And we're losing more than we're winning, and we finish under 500, and that streak ends. Right, and we're sports fans. We love a good winning streak. Are we going to be celebrating because they let the kids play? Or are we going to be pissed off because they're further away from winning again? You have to weigh the options when it comes to what you want your team to do. Are you willing to suck for 5 years and let these kids grow? What do you want to win now? And the
you can't have it both ways. You're right.
You can't.
You have to. This year, you have to win. You have to win. You only have guaranteed 1 year of Soto.
Bingo. Soto's the key this year. It has to be all in. That's one thing that I never disagree with Caputo. The Yankees had to go all in this year if they want to retain Soto. And while they've made good strides, the effort has been there. Players just haven't taken our deals. There's nothing we can do about it. We can't hold their hand and sign their name. But they still have, until the season starts, they have to stay aggressive. They have to be in the market for these guys. We'd be pissed off if they weren't. Why are you not looking to increase your pitching? Why aren't you looking for that? Why aren't you looking for that?
And it looks like the Yankees want to, and that's a good sign. It looks like the Yankees are looking at this.
It's also, why aren't you getting the insurance back after our offense fails us every fucking offseason? The Yankees have addressed these issues, and we're still pissed off.
Well, it looks like the Yankees are looking at this going, right, we're still short. And I like that, because they are. And I'm glad that they're not. Because I think if this was this time last year, I think they would have been like, we're good. But I like the fact that the Yankees are still looking to get better. And yeah, so Nightingale, who we can never be 100% reliable with, he says the Yankees are still looking to add Dylan Cease, but there's not a package that we know of yet. I'm sure they're discussing it behind the scenes, but we don't know what the package is. But it's not going to involve Spencer Jones, and that's obviously a no-brainer. But Cease will have 2 years of control. Excellent. And I'd be really interested to see what Matt Blake could do with him. I think you'd get a better Dylan Cease. I really do. Wonder what the package would be. But I guess we'll find out over the next couple of weeks what the Yankees can conjure up. But one thing, 45 days away from opening day, people. It's coming fast.
Yeah, we are 2 days away from pitches and catches. That's going to be, it's going to get interesting. I'll tell you that. And I can't wait. I'm just glad that it's our season. It's coming up to being our season. We're not there yet. I know everybody says because football's over, baseball is back, but you still have hockey going on. You still have basketball going on. So it's not quite our turn yet. You still got a couple of days of waiting.
And it's going to be a long spring. It's going to be a long spring. All kinds of things are going to happen. We'll be seeing some a little bit of competition, I think, for mostly bullpen places. And maybe the last utility infield spot. There's be very few competition. Maybe starting catcher, whether it's Wells, or whether they go back to Trevino. I guess that's going to be another question. But I think the biggest question will be who's going to be the fourth, fifth starter and what the back end of the bullpen is going to look like. But it's going to be a long spring, and I think the Yankees are going to make a deal. I think they're going to free up some room in the 40-man. I think that's just a fact. And then they're going to try and swing a trade. But what that means still for Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell, Lord only knows. Terrible. It's a terrible look for baseball. This is what I propose. They need to get in touch. Honestly, Manfred needs to get in touch with the MLBPA and say, right, we need to add a signing deadline. And I would make the signing deadline the day before pitchers and catchers. That at least gives our pitchers a chance, the pitchers that are a free agent, a chance to join their team for pitchers and catchers. Everyone has to be. I think there has to be a signing deadline because it makes sense. Because it just rolling on right through spring training does no one any good. It doesn't do anyone any good. Teams are incomplete, and it means that agents hold teams over a barrel, and also vice versa. Teams holding player over a barrel going, hey, how many offers are you getting? We can do this all day. We can keep this going all regular season if we want. And I don't think it's good for any of us. I don't think it's good for the fans. I don't think it's good for excitement. I really think there needs to be a signing deadline. And how cool would it be if us as a podcast were like, oh, tomorrow is the signing deadline. What's going to happen? You could do a signing. You could do a podcast, all day podcast, signing deadline. What have we got? Kind of like the trade deadline. And I think it would do the world of good for baseball. And then they also need to bring in the salary floor, but that's going to take a CBA to get that worked out. But two things that need to be done. But I think an easy fix to start with would be a signing deadline and at least light a little bit of a fire under these players, agents, and teams. Because this doesn't do any good, and I think it's a terrible look that the reigning Cy Young is unemployed going into pitchers and catchers. Disgraceful. Yeah. And the ace of the World Series champion Texas Rangers has no job. Terrible look. Another terrible look is the World Series champion Texas Rangers have zero money. And they're relying on a TV deal to help them get a little bit of money. Terrible look. So these are terrible looks for baseball that has to be fixed. Has to be fixed. It's really important. And I hope they freaking learn their lesson because it's easy to fix this sport. This sport is right there. The appeal is right there. We do a podcast 3 times a week. NYYU is giant. We got the Morning Brew, giant. Us growing. The podcasts, there's a lot of love for baseball. People want to love it. But you need to work on these aspects or it's just going to continue to kill the sport. And I will always stick by that. They need to improve these situations. And yeah, Snell is no job because of Boris. We overpriced Snell. Absolutely. But if you brought in a deadline, it would light the fire under Blake Snell and especially Scott Boris. and the teams that are interested. But we love baseball, man. We do, and we want to see it be what it is and what it should be. Anyhow, hit the like button, guys. Everyone that's in the chat, hit the like button. And if you haven't already done so, hit that like button. Anyone who watches us after the fact, hit the like button. It really does a world of good for us as a podcast to reach as many people as possible. And hit the sub button if you're watching, you haven't done so yet. Again, it would mean the world to all of us. And I hope you enjoy our content, Rob and Tats.
Yeah, man. Like I want to see what this team is capable of doing. If there's another trade on the table, go and get it done. Go get us another starter, whether that's a Cease or a Cabrera, Miller, Lazaro. I don't know whoever you want to pick out of that list right there. Go get somebody. Make this team as good as you can possibly make it, and let's roll. I think we got a good enough team, but you can always add to it. Every year, we always hear the Yankees talk about you never have enough starting pitching. Well, you have an opportunity to go get another one. So let's see what they do. And I also we need a salary floor. I don't know if you could put a deadline in there because no other sport really has it, but you desperately need a salary floor, and you need to start penalizing teams for not spending enough money, because it's ridiculous that a team like the Oakland Athletics can go into a season with a payroll less than what players are making on the year. It's disgusting. It's bad for the sport. And the fact that 5 top free agents are still unsigned and pitchers and catchers have already started reporting for other teams to this point. It's ridiculous. So get it fixed, man, Fred. You goof. Go get it done.
I just thought of something.
He's a joke too, Tony Clark.
What happened?
I said Tony Clark's a joke too.
Oh, I can't. He drives me crazy. But I just thought of something. I'll throw this out there. And being able to be pitchers and catchers, and the pitching has been the hot topic to kick off pitchers and catchers starting. We'll start with this on Wednesday, but I'll throw this out to you. We have this tax cap where if you spend X amount, you got to pay. Like right now, they're in that Cohen tax. I think that should be. They should structure it. This right off the top of my head. I'll clean it up for Wednesday. If you sign a player in November, there's no penalty. You don't have to pay a tax. And there's a bracket for each month going into the next season of how much you pay extra in taxes. That might entice teams not to want to wait so long to get their rosters put together. That might be that might be a foundation to start, rather than having a cutoff.
Yeah,
have penalties for teams that sign players late into the whole season.
That's that's interesting. So I think we can work with that, because the truth is, at the top end, you get punished for spending, but you don't get punished for not spending. Like, make that make sense to me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the most richest teams in the world should continue to sign as many people as possible, but they're being disincentivized to sign people if you're at the top end. But there is absolutely no incentive to spend any money at all if you're the Oakland A's. Make that make sense to me. Terrible, terrible look.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll pick this up definitely on Wednesday, celebrating pitches and catches. And I think we are on the verge of fixing baseball. So
just watch our podcast. We'll fix it for you.
Yep. We got it all figured out. Trust us. It takes a little while, but we got it. Well, I do want to thank everybody for hanging out. Again, for everybody that's been here from the beginning of the show, big thank you for hanging out with Donald when he was stuck by himself. Donald, I was listening while I was having the work done. You were killing it. I'm glad that I got, we have you on this team and in this family. You are the man. On that note, we will be back on Wednesday. The After Dark show, I will give you a heads up. I might be working tonight. I'll know by 3:00. So make sure you have that notification bell hit if the After Dark will be tonight or tomorrow. But it will be an open panel After Dark.
Woo!
So right from the get-go, we'll say hellos. The link will be in. and we're just gonna hang out and vent and cheer and all that other good shit. Yeah, I'll definitely let you know, Strike Zone. But yeah, and, Diver Donald did a great job. So yeah, go run the MLB. I could do that. I have no problem. Believe me, I could fix baseball, but I can't make a lineup. And I'm not going to let myself live that mistake down of how I did that. But appreciate everybody that was hanging out with us. Like Donald said, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the stranger on the corner. This has been the Pinstripe Chronicles. Hope you all enjoy your day where you pinstripe your pride and play hard.